Hello and welcome to VistaTalks, interesting discussions with interesting people from all around the world. I'm your host for today, Priscillia Charles, and today I'm delighted to be joined in Studio 2 by our very own Paula Manzur. Paula is a machine translation specialist at Vistatec. Very welcome, Paula.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being on the show. This is not your first time on the show. In fact, you joined us for International Women's Day. So thank you again for joining us. This time we'll learn a little bit more about you and your journey up to to Vistatec and your passion for machine translation. But thanks again. That's great to have you back.
Sure, that was a great experience. So happy to repeat it.
Well, we're delighted to have you again. So, so Bella, let's jump right into the discussion, move on and get onto the show. First of all, what attracts you to this fast-paced world of machine translation that is so important in for many industries, most especially for the localization industry at this time?
hmm Well, actually, you just said it. The fact that it's fast paced,
Mhm.
because I love that dynamic of changes and the challenge of constantly being up to date to what's going on in the MT industry, on the
Mhm.
latest news, and doing experiments on different MT engines. So some people like areas that are more stable, but if you work in technology, you kind of expect to be at the same place all the time. So actually, that is what is attractive to me.
Okay, and let's maybe take a trip down lane because you studied translation and localization respectively at Rosario State University and Cordoba Nacional University. So where did your passion for languages come from? Because so obviously you're really into machine translation and you made it, you turned the passion into a position now at Vistatec, but initially you're interested in languages. So how does one start from studying languages to becoming a machine translation specialist?
Yeah, actually, it comes from a very early age. I guess it's the same for many people who decide to study a second language.
Mhm.
And to me, from day one, I loved English. I enjoyed every class, every song that we learned, every test, believe it
Yeah.
or not. And then I had to decide what to study. And I said, okay, I'm going to be an English teacher,
Okay.
um, because I love English. And one day I was reading an old short story book, and I decided to translate one of the stories. And the whole text just came out at once. I didn't do one edit. It was all as if it came down from my brain,
Hmm.
as if I knew all the sentence structures into Spanish. And I said, "All right, this is easy." Which was not, in fact, easy. But then I decided to go to translation school, not to be a teacher, and actually learn how to translate. And funny thing is that people who love languages usually study other languages as well.
True, true, true.
But it was not my case really, because my passion for English was so strong that it didn't allow me to study anything else. It was like just that if I studied French, I pronounced French like English. So, but I had a little bit of French at high school, and now I want to learn German. So we'll see how that goes. It's never too late, really. So
Wow, very cool. So you're a true polyglot, and German. I mean, from my experience, having also learned languages, always passionate about English, same as you, and then decided to learn Spanish as well. And then I thought, "Ah, I'm gonna continue and learn a bit of Russian." I found, it's very different, and
yeah.
not a Latin language, and
Mhm.
um, and then. So like the prospect, I know, remember I was being told, if you haven't, have you studied Greek? No. Have you studied a bit of German? No. Oh, it's going to be difficult for you,
Yeah, it's
Well,
challenging, but it's very
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting though. I thought this is going to be a challenge and never mind, I want to learn something different. The root of the word is different, so I'm always
Yeah.
interested in knowing where the passion come from because this is something that I can very much relate to.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so now I understand that you started your career as a freelance translator and then that you are now obviously the machine translation specialist at Vistatec and you're based in Argentina. Where about in Argentina are you based?
In Rosario.
Rosario. Oh, okay, very good. I went to Argentina, but I didn't get a chance to stop by Rosario. But I know a friend from there,
Mhm.
and tell us about your role here at Vistatec, because I understand that some of your responsibilities include machine translation, solutions, advice and strategy, as well as NT feasibility analysis and engine customization.
Mhm. Yeah, so from, yeah, as you said it, from translated as a freelance at home in my pajamas to MD specialist at Vistatec. Well, this role is very challenging because it involves knowing, enough about the subject to be able
Mhm,
to give advice, as you mentioned. But what is enough in this area? It's like it's never enough. So part of the job is constantly learn and attend, webinars and read articles, be on top of everything, while at the same time you are doing machine translation evaluations. You are assessing engines through a series of evaluations that could be done by humans or machines. And you do a lot of data analysis as well, because you have to do something with all that data that you gather from humans, from the machine.
mhm.
And so sometimes you can reach to very confusing conclusions. So you need to go back, double check. So again, it's very dynamic. But I'm proud to say that we have a great team here at Vistatec for MT, and that's really important, the team element, because no matter what, it's like we are in this together. So
True.
I, yeah.
Very true, very, very true. And so what led you to specializing in machine translation from your previous roles as a translator then?
Well, I thought this a lot actually, and I came to realize that as a translator, I used to struggle a lot with
Hmm.
deadlines. So I thought if I had been born a little bit later in time, and when I got my degree, I could have worked in the era of neural machine translation. I guess I'd be
Hmm.
grateful, really, because I had struggled a lot with new words to be delivered in ridiculous deadlines, really, and I suffered. So now with neural
Oh,
MT, even though it's not for some types of contents or languages, it might not be great, you still have some words that you can use from the MT. There's some level of usability in there.
hmm.
And I support the fact of doing things faster and efficiently. And I, at the same time, I support MT because I support localization.
Yeah,
And there are not enough translators really in the world for the amount of content that we humans produce.
of course.
So, so the way I see my transition is that I transitioned along with technology,
Yeah.
and I love language and I love technology. So I put that together and I'm there. So
It was a good way of combining the both, especially with your experience as a translator before. You were able to
yeah,
understand understand it more than anyone.
yeah,
That,
exactly.
yeah, no, that's interesting. And I remember interviewing a machine translation specialist as well when we started VistaTalks almost 3 years ago now, and asking, do you really ever think that we can get we won't need
Yeah.
the human touch, the human factor to translate, and we can leave
Hmm.
it to machine translation completely. I'm pretty sure that the answer was, but not really. We always need
Yeah.
someone to understand the nuance, in some of the words and some of the phrases, anything used for translation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the most popular questions actually in the MT industry, I guess, if human translators will ever be replaced, let's say,
Yeah.
by the machine. But to be honest, I don't think so for a long, long time. So
Mhm.
we're fine. I mean, I sometimes I'm afraid of being criticized as a translator to be supporting MT, but
Yeah.
it's because of the reasons I just mentioned, because we produce a lot of content, and that's why I support it. I'm part of localization, so
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, you understand it more than anyone, and you can see both sides of the equation, as you
mhm,
could say. So that's understandable. So, obviously, for some of you sorry, and some of you who don't know, maybe Vistatech has been a pioneer in the area of intelligent automated translation and has a broad range of efficiency-based solutions, including its intelligent automated translation IAT suite of solutions, facilitating optimal translation for its clients. and Vistatec's machine translation solutions can significantly improve project turnaround times and reduce costs, enabling automatic translations. Vistatec has been pioneering intelligent automated translation for many years. So, from your perspective, why is it important to its customers?
Well, it's important mainly because thanks to automated translation, they'll be localizing products and contents that they wouldn't be localizing otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And that means not reaching those markets for those target languages. And it's proven that people buy more if they actually read the content or the products, in their target language.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's important for our customers.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And be able to go globally, expand globally as well, and creating
Exactly.
more type of content, just like the type of content that Vistatech creates, which is not just for one industry, but rather a multi sort of industry since starting in 1937. So now, when it comes to localization industry, though, specifically, why do you think MT is so important?
Well, I see that is as important as other technological changes that have been for the lock industry, like translation memories and CAT tools. And MT is here to stay. It's improving, really. That's a fact. And it's important that there are professionals who can follow the trends, keep on investigating, and be ready to face all these challenges. Um, so, so I think it's important because it's here to stay. Really, it won't disappear.
Yeah, no, of course, absolutely, yeah. And especially, I mean, there's so many trends, new trends developing and technologies being, developed, including at Vistatech. So how do you see MT changing the the industry landscape then in the next 5 to 10 years? What would you say?
5 to 10 years. Well, probably it will be the new normal, like CAT tools nowadays. The way I see it, it will probably all be integrated in one place. Like you will not distinguish between a CAT tool, or MTs. It will be like, I don't know, everything integrated, and linguists will probably not know where the sentence comes from, whether from translation memory or MT or whatever. So they will be doing their jobs as subject matter experts rather than translators. So they can bring the translation up to the quality level that is needed for the customer. So the human touch, as you mentioned. So that's the way I see it. It will become the new normal.
The new normal, yes. It's certainly a sentence, a phrase that we've heard a lot in the past
Yeah.
in the past few months, but I suppose is very much applicable in different ways, including any type of technology new trend or for any industry or any situation, because things have certainly changed. Now, moving on to completely different topic, you will soon be joining a panel of experts at the upcoming MemSource Machine Translation Workshop Series. Entitled Integrating MT into Localization Workflows, which obviously you're very, very much an expert of. So can you tell us more a little bit about the topic and what you'll be discussing alongside other global experts on the topic?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So basically, I compare this topic about integrating a machine translation into a localization workflow with a software migration. So you're currently using a certain software, for example, and your company decides to change it, right? And you go through all these, change management stages, but you would eventually need to migrate that to that software and start actually using it. So with MT, it's the same. You were doing things in a certain way, human translation that is translating from scratch, and that has a methodology, a pace, a rate for the vendor. And now you need to migrate to post-editing machine translation, whatever the level of post-editing. So it may have a similar methodology, but definitely it's not the same pace and it's not the same rate for the vendors. So I guess we'll be talking about what you need to consider before fully migrating into a
Mhm.
machine translation post-editing workflow, or not, maybe not even post-editing at all, maybe just raw machine translation for certain types of content or cases. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion. It'll be interesting to join other colleagues as well.
Absolutely, it sounds very interesting. Can you, by any chance, maybe would you have one tip already of one of from your experience, what you think you'll be discussing, where do you think one of the reasons would be, or what should be considered when potentially migrating?
Well, there are, yeah, many considerations you have to take into account. The technology, for example, the CAT tool that you're using, whether the machine translation engine is supported there in the CAT
Mhm.
tool, whether the language is supported, the languages that you want to use machine translation for is supported with that MT provider. You have to submit a tested or sample to the human translators, that the vendors that have been doing human translation, to kind of assess the machine translation. So it's a process, really. There are several stages, but there are those are the considerations, the technology and the human aspect.
Okay, okay. And well, thank you for sharing this, because I know that it's something you'll be discussing at the panel, but I'm sure it's very useful for anyone, interested in the topic, and looking to migrate maybe. So
Sure.
you've also recently attended the Fin Global Awards, this awards program organized by the Fin Global Forum, and rewarding individuals and organizations all around the world. So what was your experience? What did you look forward to in attending this unique event? Was it your first time?
Yeah, it was my first time, and I attended because I love awards. Really love them, and there are so many people to be recognized and acknowledged in this world.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great contribution for the community. So that's why I fully support this type of events. So I had a look at the awards for professional services. SCA Research, who was the winner, the company that won. They do a lot of contribution to the MT industry, and also the Language Industry Person of the Year award,
Hmm.
which I didn't know Ulrich Hens. So it was interesting to see also other winners of other sectors,
Yeah.
and also listening to the keynote speeches, like the Olympian swimmer
Mhm.
Shane
Right.
Ryan.
Yeah.
That was the first one, and I always compare sports to, and professional athletes to real life, in the sense that you need discipline in life, you need training, and his speech was really inspiring to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it's
Mhm.
true. Well, thank you. We're delighted that you enjoyed the event, but it is, as you said, yes, a way to remind yourself, that you have to have a particular mindset to be able to achieve some of your goals. That sometimes, especially with the past year, I think
Mhm.
having a certain resilience, it helps a lot. I think in so many ways. So, well, I'm delighted that you
Absolutely.
enjoyed the speech. Yeah, very inspiring indeed.
Mhm.
And so finally, before we end this interview, what's on the horizon for you?
Well, lately I've been focusing in trying to, write some papers, or,
Yeah.
to be submitted to conferences like
Okay.
the
Okay.
upcoming AMTA in August,
Super.
the Machine Translation Conference.
Mhm.
So if it gets accepted, I can gain more experience in the area of presenting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Wow, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
And anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we end this interview already? Thank you for your time. I can't believe it's already the end, but is there anything else you'd like to say or share with the audience?
Well, just to thank you, Priscilla, and I hope that everyone listening found this insightful. And feel free to reach out to me in case you'd like to, have a chat about MT or life. I'm eager to meet our listeners.
Well, thank you so much to you, Paula. It was a pleasure to have you on the show, and who knows, we might have you a third time soon.
Yeah,
Uh, once, twice, but the third time, you might have your own show. Who know? Um, and so
that'll be
we
fun.
look
Yeah, that'll
forward
be
to
fun.
have you again. So
Yeah,
thank you again.
thank you.
So that's the end already of today's show with Paula Manzur, who is a machine translation specialist at Vistatec. So please make sure to tune in again to see or listen to the next VistaTalks show, where we'll be discussing more interesting topics with interesting people from all around the world.